Hello, welcome to The Conversation in News Central Television. This is the program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Gbenga, Aborowa.
And I am Rita, Omodia. Now, today on The Conversation, we will be discussing the current situation in Abuja, where the second batch of returnees from war-torn Sudan have landed at the Nnamdi Azikwe International Airport, courtesy the evacuation program of the federal government.
Meanwhile, in the Republic of South Africa, the country's parliament is currently dissatisfied over the government's inability to extradite the Gupta brothers from the United Arab Emirates. As a result, the parliament is set to have a debate about the situation in June. Interesting times in South Africa. The
Definitely.
Guptas, when you mention state capture, it's synonymous with the Guptas, and maybe they'll try again.
Maybe. The Gupta brothers are turned to more like ghost brothers. So somehow they're there, but they can't get them. When you hear Gupta brothers, like you said, you hear of corruption, Jacob Zuma, and all what that went down, especially looking at the reserves in South Africa. And on our other situation today, it's a good news. On Wednesday, we had the first batch of the evacuees, and then today we're having the second batch in Nigeria. So it's a good one for the federal government.
Kudos to the federal government of Nigeria. And a lot of debates around, is it their rights and the conditions they were in and all of that. So we'll get into the cruxes there. Another issue I wanted us to touch on before we move on with the main discussion of today is Senator Muhammadu, Deputy Senate President, Ninth Assembly, has been sentenced to 10 years in the United Kingdom for organ trafficking. The federal government, the Senate has said the United Kingdom government should temper justice with mercy. But, the laws are their laws, and I guess there are lots of lessons to be learned.
Definitely a lot of lessons. When I hear of that story, it's quite pitiable because on one hand, looking at from what the court has said, they said that it was illegal what they tried to do at getting the 21-year-old street vendor and all of that. And we see the doctor being involved as the middleman at getting the 10 years. We see Muhammadu again, a former deputy Senate president. That's a high-profile position in Nigeria. We also see the wife, but the daughter, who is in the question of all of this, who you're trying to get the organ for. I don't know what is the situation with her, if they're trying to help her out, because she'll be in a very dire situation with all of this.
Knowing that both parents would not even be there to care for her. What a sad one.
Definitely a sad one. And I think it's for all other people too. Again, if you're going about things, try and go about it the right way and not the wrong way, even though you're going for a right cause. But the law is always the law when we have situations like this in Nigeria.
So do you think those courtesy calls and pleading to the United Kingdom government, would they be listening to the Nigerian Senate leadership in their request for leniency?
I doubt it. I actually doubt it. I think they've been very firm. If they wanted to go about probably tempering justice with mercy, they could have done that early on, because they've been going about this case since March this year, and it's still what the law says. And they're saying that what they went was illegal organ trafficking. They're going along with the Modern Slave Trade Act. So it's a very big situation.
Laws are laws, yes.
Definitely. It's quite, would I say, funny, but we were seeing lots of government officials. We saw former President Olusegun Obasanjo also come in to talk about this, temper justice with mercy. We're seeing also the Senate members, parliamentarians also saying, okay, this is our brother here, this is our member here, please just have mercy on him. But it's a sad situation, I must say, for Muhammadu. All right, we'll begin with situations now for today's topic, and we're looking at the evacuation system in Sudan. If you have noticed, for the past 3 weeks, we've been talking about the crisis going on in Sudan. Now, the second batch of evacuated Nigerians from Sudan arrived the nation's capital, Abuja, on Friday. This is following the first evacuation from Egypt by airlift, which arrived at the Nnamdi Azikwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 11:30 p.m. on Wednesday. According to Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NiDCOM, 350 stranded Nigerians fleeing the crisis in Sudan arrived at the Aswan Airport in Egypt for airlift to Nigeria. Upon arrival in the country, the evacuees were screened by officials of the Ministry of Health. Prior to this feat, reports had suggested that citizens evacuated from Sudan had been stranded at the Egyptian border following visa issues. The border was opened after Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari spoke with Abdel Fattah El-Sisi, the Egyptian president.
Sadiya Farouk, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, said each returnee will be given 100,000 naira Several countries have been engaged in evacuation efforts of their citizens from Sudan since crisis broke out on April the 15th, with clashes between rival factions of the North African nation's military government breaking out in Western Sudan, in the capital of Khartoum. And in the Darfur region, hundreds have since been killed, while thousands of others have suffered injuries. Now we have our correspondent in Abuja, Marvelous, who is live at the Nnamdi Azikwe Airport at this moment to speak with us on the returnees and evacuees that just returned from Sudan, the second batch. Good evening to you, Marvelous. How are you, and what's the situation like where you are? Can you give us a situation report of what you've seen so far today?
All right. At exactly 3:17 p.m. this afternoon, we had another second batch of the Nigerians that were evacuated from Port Sudan arrived in Nnamdi Azikwe International Airport.
Marvelous, can you hear us?
Hello, Marvelous. We seem to be having some technical issues.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, go on, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we
All
can
right,
hear you now. Go on, please.
The second batch of returnees just arrived the Nnamdi Azikwe International Airport exactly 3:17 p.m. today, and about 130 of them, and priority were given to women and children. And of course, since they came back, they've been undergoing profiling from the Nigerian Immigration Service, and some officials of NEMA debriefing them and, passing through one test or the other and documentation. Actually, I have two of these returnees standing by just to speak with us.
Okay.
All
right. I think we should have, if you have them standing by, could they speak at the moment, and could they tell us your names and how it feels to be back in Nigeria and the evacuation efforts so far that brought them to Nigeria?
All right. Let me talk with the first person. Please, can you introduce yourself, your name, and of course how your experiences so far and how you got back to Nigeria?
Hello, good evening. My name is Jerry Aminetafida, and I'm one of the victims of the Sudan war. The war experience is really terrible and hectic for everyone. It was really traumatizing because the war was something no one expected. It just began one morning. We've experienced something like that, but not really the war in Sudan before, but it wasn't anything like this. So we thought it won't pass anything 24 hours. Then we came to this, and I guess we are really happy to be here because everyone wants to come back. And now we have to stop schooling and everything, but I don't think anyone cares about the school and everything for now. Everyone is just focused on coming back alive. There are still students back there, and I guess they are still scared, even though where they are is really safe. But I guess everyone is scared because we all know where war spread like water. We don't really know when it gets to where they are. So I really hope they come back safely too. Anything else?
Okay, Marvelous.
So can you tell us what your experiences are? How did you?
It was really terrible because we were told, the first day we were told we would come back to Nigeria, everyone came prepared, and we didn't really go that day. Everyone spends around 1 week going back home, coming back, and some have to sleep in different places. Like me and my friends, we kept squatting from hostel to hostel because we don't know anywhere. And where the war is happening is where we live. So we have to keep begging people to squat with them. And there is no water, food, and money available. So it was really terrible for everyone.
So, Marvelous, if we can talk to the second returnee, if you can hear me, please can we engage her and ask her the process, how if she feels to be back in Nigeria and how she found herself to the evacuation point and the government response and how things have been so far.
Please, can you introduce your name and also tell us what are the processes of you guys being evacuated from where you are? How did you manage to leave from where you are, your hostel, to the border point where you were taken from the bus, of course, to Port Sudan?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zainab, and my name is Zainab Karitafida, and it was a horrible experience and very traumatizing because we were hearing gunshots, explosion everywhere. We were not able to sleep, even if we're not able to sleep and eat actually. Even if we sleep, we were thinking that we won't make it tomorrow, but alhamdulillah. And then coming back here too was hard because like a lot of people, you know, it was connection. So some people were like chancing and entering the bus. So they left us there. We had to like beg some people to sleep with them, to sleep in their hostels because we left our house and that is where the explosion and everything is happening. But alhamdulillah, we are back safe and sound, and I wish those that are there too to come back safe and sound too.
So, how were you able to, you know, gather your package, your bags, your luggages to move at the point?
I left all my stuffs there. Like I only have my backpack and I left everything there. I couldn't pack everything because the gunshots and everything was too much. I was just fighting, just hoping to survive. That's all.
So
Okay.
How can you describe the effort made by the Nigerian embassy in Sudan, you know, just for you guys to be evacuated? How can you describe that effort?
It was good actually. I'm proud of my country. Like at first it wasn't good because there were people that were chancing, but now alhamdulillah that we are here. I don't know.
All right, so Marvelous, if you can hear me. Marvelous, we would also like to hear about those who are still trapped in Sudan. While she was giving her submission, she said it was really a very serious situation for her to actually be as part of this second batch of evacuation. So for those who are left behind, family, friends, relatives, let's hear more about this and the situation they are at the moment.
Okay, so of course you know that you understand the situation you guys were in, and luckily you're back to Nigeria. How about those that are left in Port Sudan? What do you think their situations might be?
It's horrible, like, cause they were stranded, no food, nothing. Even if like they packed some food, cause they didn't know that they were going to risk like spend 1 week there. I know by now their food must have finished, and definitely there is nowhere to sleep. They were just sleeping on the streets, on the road, in the middle of nowhere. Their situation is really bad, very bad.
Okay. We've also heard that they were actually selecting based on tribe and religion and all the rest. How true is that?
Yeah, I don't know about tribe actually, but some people were collecting money. Were collecting money if, like they were chancing actually, packing their family and they left us there. So we had family and friends, so we slept there in the location that they asked us to gather.
All right, finally, we also heard that some of you had to pay with your money to get transported out of that place. How true
We
is that?
couldn't pay because we don't have money with us, but some people paid.
All right.
All right,
So,
Marvelous.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. She
Yes.
talked more about the issue of them, of
All right,
this.
so do we have...
Can you hear me, Marvelous?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I said she talked more about the issue of the struggle of them being inside the evacuation, this batch of evacuation. Now, this struggle that she talked about, she also said that people were paying money. Let her talk more about this. These accusations of people being paid before they could follow the batches that we're seeing so far.
Oh, all right, I understand that there were struggles, you know, before you guys were picked or selected, before you were evacuated, and of course some people were collecting money. Can you speak more about that, please?
Actually, it started, they asked us to form a queue because we know if we didn't, like, so we can organize everything, so everything can go normal, smoothly. So we did that, only for them to, like, select few people from our line and then tell us that the bus is full. We'll be wondering then, how is the bus full when you just pack just 5 people? So we just realized that they are packing their families, taking them to the other door, and then that's how they packed their family and they left us.
All right, in my earlier chat with you, you did mention that there were some states they are brought in their bus and
Yeah,
we're
they
taking
said-
people from their state.
Yeah,
Which
that's
state?
what they said. There is Jigawa, Kaduna, and then I heard there is Kano too. Kano State. They'll be like, they will tell us that this bus is for Kaduna State, we shouldn't enter. This bus is for Jigawa State, we shouldn't enter. That's what they were doing.
All right, marvelous.
So we're left there, stranded.
Now, marvelous. Just before you let Zainab go, I want to know what the situation has been since they touched down at the Nnamdi Azikwe Airport in Abuja. Have they been attended to by and briefed by officials of the Nigerian Foreign Ministry and also NiDCOM? And what's the next process for them? How do they hope to connect with their families?
All right. First thing first is that as soon as they touched down to Nnamdi Azikwe International Airport, there were officials from NiDCOM, NEMA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Humanitarian Affairs to receive them. So as they came in, they first of all went through thermometer check to check their temperature, and then they settled in, and the officials gave them food to unwind. After which they went through NIS documentation. So once they were done with the documentation, they moved to Dangote Aliko Foundation, where they were being given bag and some relief materials and some parcels. So the minister of the NiDCOM had also briefed them and also welcomed them from Port Sudan. So the government officials here on ground are doing all they can to make sure they are settled in. And of course, there are some relief materials and some financial assistance they are giving to most of them, so that for them, they are not residents in Abuja, some of them that will be transiting, so the money can also assist them from transportation. And of course, there are some officials who are bringing buses now to the airport to help carry some of them who are not resident to Abuja. And of course, some of them that might have suffered some psychological challenges, some officials are here, trying to help them and, help them overcome such trauma.
All right, thank you so much, Marvelous, for the update.